the story from Coach Pry's perspective on you not telling him about Will
How about
and
Will?
his
Yeah.
his and his background.
Mhm.
What were your first impressions of Will, and how did that story between you telling him or telling Pry about Will's background play out?
Well, my first impression was of Will was he was serious about the competition. He wanted to perform well every day. He's come with the right focus and attitude each day. And then as the days went, he just stacked a lot of days and became consistent through the whole camp. And I knew a little bit of his background and from kind of knowing a little bit about him prior to, and then what I learned from him once we were here. And I mean, we were in the we're breaking camp and we're first season, first game. There's a lot of things going on, and I just figured that Coach Pry had enough on his plate to worry about. And because Will had a really solid camp, obviously I didn't have any reservations about him being our place kicker, and so I didn't really expect it to turn into the media frenzy that it has, but I get it. It's very unique. It's not a typical situation for sure.
Are you surprised at Will's composure? It seems like he carries himself very well. He seems like a very humble guy, especially
Yeah.
considering he's never, up until the Old Dominion game, he had never kicked a football in an actual game before.
Yeah, I think that he had spent a lot of time preparing, right? I mean, he'd been a couple places and he was trying to make this work. And it wasn't, it's not like he's a true freshman straight out of high school. So, I think that that's helped him for sure. And probably if I'm speculating a little bit, but I would imagine his experiences trying to get to this point have taught him, that he need to stay composed and focused and so he just comes off as that kind of guy. I think he's got that as his personality. He's conscientious. He pays attention. I think that it's just kind of who he is, which is nice.
How would you evaluate the special teams play as a whole through 4 weeks?
Well, what I typically do each year is once you get through a good sample size of the season, in this case, 4 weeks, we look to see, where we were nationally. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think we're, in the top 30, maybe 27 in net punt. I think in kickoff, we've had 12 of the 17 attempts at a deep kick, 12 have been touchbacks. We're somewhere in the 30s in kickoff return defense. And so we need to keep building on that in the coverage game. Just keep staying consistent and build there. And then in the return game, we need to improve. We've really have kind of shot ourselves in the foot in the kickoff return department. We've had some opportunities to make some plays and not handled the ball well at times. We've blocked it up pretty decent, and you can see where we have opportunities. We just have to get all 11, playing on the same page. I do think DJ Harvey has improved dramatically from week one. And I think that we have a chance to really improve on our punt return and our kickoff return. But it's nice to see DJ be more aggressive, and then CAC has done a nice job when we've asked him to perform there as well. So I like I wish we were a little bit better in the return game. But if you're going to value one over the other, you want to be really good in coverage. And and then you're working to get your return game to get up to speed, and I feel like that we're heading in the right direction. Field goal wise, the protection's been good. Will's knocked them down, so that's been good. And I think in field goal block, which our defense handles the majority of, those guys are playing really hard and pressuring kicks, and that's going to pay off as well.
Thanks.
Let's go over to Andy Bitter, please.
Hey, Andy, how are you?
I'm pretty good, Stu. You obviously oversee a lot of units that have a lot of moving parts and mechanics that are pretty intricate. What concerns you most when you see a weather forecast like you guys are going into this weekend?
I think that what I've always tried to do is control what we can control, and obviously the weather is not. We don't have much control over that. We do work wet ball drill and in practice. We do try to simulate as much as we can with, if we have wind and as far as fielding the ball. Like, for instance, the West Virginia game was quite windy, and we had those guys catch a lot of kicks. And you just do the best you can in terms of preparing them as best as you can with what you have to work with, because we've had some beautiful days here. So it's that can be difficult. As far as guys performing in those situations, I just always reiterate to them, we just want them to be aggressive. Just trust their training. Don't let it, don't make it bigger than what it is. Both sides have to play in it. So you want to fall on your fundamentals, and be aggressive, stay aggressive.
I know you guys will be making a determination on Malachi eventually. What have you seen out of him? Has he been able to do more at practice, and are you encouraged by his progress?
He's looked great. I mean, he told me from day one. He told me, his mom told me, his dad told me. They said he heals different. They said he's a fast healer. He's been injured when he was younger, and he overcame that quicker than they expected. And I don't know the timetable to date, but he's done very well. I've been very encouraged by what I've seen, since he's rejoined us in practice. And obviously he's a tough young man. He's very much into it, and physically he looks great.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go over to Aaron, please.
Hey, Stu.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. We got Johnny Jordan's perspective on the offensive line last night about the running game. And, obviously Coach Price talked about it quite a bit. From your perspective in the running back room, what do those guys need to improve on to get this thing clicking a little better?
Well, I thought we started the season and did some nice things. I thought week 1 and week 2, several guys, when they got their opportunity, did some really good stuff. I felt like that, my message to them, that coming off of this past game, was that, you can't concede anything. You can't concede a yard. You've got to fight for every single thing you can get. It doesn't matter if you feel like that, this is going to be, it's not going to be there, or it's going to be tough, or what, because even if you don't succeed and it doesn't turn out to be exactly what you want, you're going to pick your teammates up. Your teammates are going to see how hard you're running. You got to run with a purpose. You got to run angry. And for me personally, with our running backs in this past game, if I could say that there was an area where I was disappointed, was I just felt like we conceded too many times with the ball in our hands, and we don't ever want to do that. We never want to play that way. That's wherever that comes from, that doesn't need to show up anymore. And that was that. If I could say, I'm not disappointed with those guys very often, but that is an area that I'm like, man, we got to fight for every inch we can get.
And going back to Will, I mean, I think I speak for Andy and David. I think we're all kind of surprised when we see this guy 6 for 6. He's so sort of blasé.
I don't want to talk about that, man. I don't even want to talk about it.
But I mean,
keep him in the groove, man. Keep him in the groove.
There was a risk, I guess, right? Like taking a guy who's never kicked before, and you're a new staff. You want to put your best foot forward. To have some faith in somebody who's never done it. I mean, how much, I guess, did you just kind of have to trust the universe that it would work out? Yeah.
Well, and that was one area coming. It's not just him. I mean, we've got several new guys in the kicking game. Kyle Lowe, his first time really being on the field a ton. Justin Pollock, Enzo Anthony, all those guys were, DJ Harvey, all those guys kind of new, to playing in the kicking game. So, camp was very important in Will's case. Like I said earlier, he just stacked days, and he just, and he had a really good competition with John Love. John had a really good camp as well. So, you just you trust what you do day in and day out. I think one thing that's important with these guys is that you have to recognize that there's so much prep and so much practice for so little opportunity. You only get so many Saturdays and Thursdays and whatever your schedule presents. And so as a coach, I always keep in mind, like, man, these guys they're working day in and day out to have that opportunity. And it was evident with Will. It was important to him. It was evident with all those guys. It was important to him. And so, you get them out there and let's see what they do, and so I'm excited about all those guys, and Will's certainly off to a good start.
Thanks, Stu. Good luck Saturday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Got time for a couple more. David or Andy want to chime back in?
Yes, Stu, what have you seen out of Keyshawn King lately? I know he's been dinged up a little bit, but you feel like he's ready to go for this game, and how much could you use that home run ability?
Yeah, I do feel like, Keyshawn he does have a little bit of a different skill set. I mean, he's a pretty dynamic guy when he's rolling, and he had the long run against Boston College, and he kind of tweaked his lower body a little bit, and that's held him back, these last couple of weeks. I do feel like that he's ready to go, and he's had a good week of practice, and so we're looking forward to him getting out there.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
David, we'll let you wrap it up.
Yeah, Stu, Peter Moore is so consistent, and he's kind of a veteran at this point, but where have you seen him grow the most since you've kind of taken over coaching him?
I think probably leadership. He is the guy. I mentioned several guys that hadn't been on the field, and Pete is a guy that had at the specialist position. So I told him early on that we were going to lean on his leadership, through the off season, through the summer, and I feel like that that was a work in progress, because he's not I think he's a third-year player, so he's relatively young, to be on the field, and so I've just seen him grow in that area and really accept that responsibility, and and he was voted a captain by his teammates, which speaks volumes. So I would say leadership would be the area I've seen him grow the most.